You're watching France24, and it's time now, of course, for our daily look at the international press. Marion Henbest joins me in the studio. Good morning, Marion. Tell us what you found for us today.
Right, well, first up, an article in La Croix, a French daily Catholic paper, talking about Burma and the fact that the roads of Rangoon and Mandalay are empty, perhaps suggesting that the military junta has succeeded in its crackdown on anti-government protests. Now, it points out perhaps part of the cause for this is the fact when UN Security Council members started talking about imposing sanctions and called an emergency session last week, China, one of Burma's closest allies, appealed for calm and said that perhaps the problems going on there were an internal matter. Now, one relatively positive note in the report is the fact that worldwide media coverage of what's been going on in the country has meant the junta has reacted less brutally than in 1988, when thousands of people were killed in anti-government protests. So a more positive angle to that there. Also looking at Burma in The Independent, and the fact that one Burmese monk in particular has voiced what many are apparently saying, the fact they're determined to continue fighting against the military rule. Now, this particular young monk was there when police raids took place in monasteries starting last week, and he's seen some of his fellow Buddhists, some as young as about 15, being taken off to military and police camps there. Now, he said that the monasteries themselves are beginning to look like military camps themselves, with blood on the doors, blood stains, and there's a quote in there saying, "Gone is the scent of incense burning in worship. Now it's the smell of stale cigarette butts discarded by soldiers at the temple doors," which people are greeted with. So rather a sombre image, and wrapping up what's been going on in Burma the last few weeks. And the young Buddhist, he says he wants to highlight not only what's been going on recently in Burma, but also the daily atrocities that people have to deal with there in the country. The fact that he accuses the government of profiting from the country's diamond trade and natural gas trade, saying that they're spending less money per head on healthcare than nearly any other country in the world. So,
well, thanks for that, Marion. Here in France, I know that, of course, they're thinking about terrorism today with the opening day of the trial of Rashid Ramda, who was accused of helping a group linked with Al-Qaeda carry out the 1995 Paris metro bombings. But Al-Qaeda's also on the mind of the Australian press. Tell us why.
Very much so, yes. It's a curious story. A Somalian mother who is urging the Australian government to acknowledge the fact that her son isn't dead, but in fact working for Al-Qaeda. Now, Ahmed Ali disappeared in December, and the Australian government confirmed that he was dead after he was apparently seen fighting alongside terrorists in Somalia. His mother, however, refuses to believe this until she sees some proof. She says her 25-year-old son, in fact, started training with fundamentalists some 6 years ago, and told her that he'd gone to Dubai in December to visit family and friends, and since made a secret trip to Somalia. He's not been in touch since. She now says that he's changed his name and he's working as an interpreter for Al-Qaeda because of his good level of English. So an unusual story there.
Goodness. Well, on to China just briefly, Marion. Tell us what you found there.
China, indeed, and it's a chance for the Communist Party to sing its own praises in its paper China Daily. And it's officially holiday time in China. The country is observing a week-long National Day, and the article really bigs up the celebrations going on there and what's going to be happening in Beijing's Tian'anmen Square. 1.7 million people expected to visit the Chinese capital this week, one of the highlights being the raising of the national flag.
Thank you very much indeed, Marion Henbest, for that review of today's international papers. Stay tuned to France24.